We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity Top Gun Sales Boot Camp Training. And let's dive right in. Nora, what you got?
So my percentage for yesterday was either 48% or 76. I'm not sure. I did sell a business x-ray, but I think I'd counted it like a week ago because I've been working.
Right,
So I
right.
just took the 48, but
Okay.
um and then I was curious, so like in a community where like it feels like face to face is like meeting people face to face is very important. Um, like how do you best handle situations? So I had a call last night, had a message, and I could just tell by like the person's voice that I think I'm losing the sale because of a, decision not to do a face to face. How do you like is that like okay? How do you handle that? I don't know. Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
it does. Yep, absolutely. Um, yeah, it's not black and white for sure. It's hard to know if that's really true, um, or if it's our imagination because we tend to go towards face to face. Um, and then even if it is true, um, is that the individual or weaker sales skills? And even if it is true, and we could get them in person, um, the because it's local Northern Indiana, can you use the coffee connection as the face to face? Get them to come out to the coffee connection. Let's say that you do all of that. There's a good chance that if you get them face to face, they're going to want face to face ongoing. And that increases your cost substantially. That's not necessarily the case, but it is often the case. And um, so again, there's not black and whites on it. Um, but there's an additional cost. Are you going to pass that cost on, that time cost on to your client? Are you going to make sure that they have a level that's going to cover that cost? Like if we're going to do this, they're going to do this. Like they're going to go with a high enough level to justify that cost. Or if it's not, who's going to pay that price? That extra time. Um, are you going to lose more sales because of that? What kind of a client are they going to be? Are you going to go ahead and take personal time out? Are you going to make less money? Are you going to take personal time and invest it in? Are you going to go ahead and is somebody else going to pay that price? Or is your son going to pay that price? Like somebody's got to pay the price of that. There's going to be something that's going to be paid if the customer doesn't. And so, um, so then you experiment with it and see if you're right or not. The challenge is that we tend to, this is decision making bias. And so, this is what Stan Lambert was talking about on. So we tend to go ahead and make a decision that we want to make, we think is the best decision. And then when we make that decision, we go ahead and find all kinds of data to support we made the right decision. Even if we made the wrong decision or not the best decision, our minds will go ahead and trick us into thinking we made that right decision. even though it wasn't the right decision. So I didn't read the book. There's a book out there for, I don't know, 500 or something biases. And it's crazy how the human brain works or doesn't work, and how we continue to stay alive and maybe prosper in spite of ourselves as human beings. When we understand that, when we understand that, that helps us go ahead and have humility. So the flawless thinking model, not perfect thinking, but flawless thinking model, curious questions, and then being humble, being thankful, feelings, truths, past, present, future, personalities, see, think, do, think, see, think, see, do, like all of this. And then all these sub models underneath it, it's like, it's just like working out physically and being physically in shape. What about being mentally in shape? And so the biggest breakthroughs I've had in my life, and there's a lot of them, where I'm like, well, Mark, what if you're wrong? And so the whole 530 grid came about from that, with a client. The whole dimensional thinking came about that in a 30-minute strategy session. So if you're not having moments, normal everyday moments that happen every day, they're just normal moments that happen every day, and they're changing your life, you're not growing anything close to what you could be. And I mean, there are probably hundreds of these things that I'm just like, it's just a normal everyday moment. All of a sudden, it just changes my life forever. It's like, so it's people have told me multiple times, well, nobody likes being wrong. I do. Because I know I'm wrong. I just don't know where. And so, if you believe something to be true that wasn't, would you want to know it? So if you practice on things and saying, well, what if I'm wrong? And hope that you are wrong. It's probably one of the best defenses against ego, which will stop you from learning, stop you from making money, stop you from a whole bunch of things, is to be excited about being wrong. I mean, literally, like, I hope I'm wrong. Like, it's so cool. It's so cool being wrong. Oh, it's so cool. Because then you just like, because there's this burst of like excitement, and it's like, wow, that is so neat to be wrong. And then you're strange, you're a little weird. Questions on that, Nora?
No,
Anything else you got?
no,
Kenny, what you got?
Um, didn't enter my numbers for yesterday, which there were none, so I guess I did enter them. I don't know.
So
Um,
what we should do, Nora, I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but what we should do is we should have something in there where we enter none. I don't even know if the system will handle it, but it should handle it. So we should talk to Shuaib about that, because entering none is really important. So we'll mark that down. Nora, if you could make sure I talk to Shuaib about that, that'd be great. Okay, go ahead.
um, yesterday I did talk with Adam, our programmer, and we made some changes to the website. Well, it was just a simple change, but I kind of like it, where it's like it eliminates. I wanna create a Google ad, drive more people to our website, and then get the website to schedule appointments or to close more people for us. Take them, I guess, one step further. And we moved a button from the contact us button page over into the home page where it just kind of floats there. So in the Google Analytics, I noticed that a lot of our traffic was just staying, most of our traffic was on the home page, didn't go any further than the home page. And in order to contact us, they had to go to the contact us page and then click on the button.
Isn't it
I wonder if it's
exciting and
Google Analytics.
terrifying? Isn't it exciting and terrifying and frightening and all the feelings and emotions to realize it's one little thing and it can make all the difference in the world? I don't know. It is to me.
I wonder if those Google Analytics to track that, if there's like, if we can tell, huh?
If we can tell what.
If the change, how the change is affected or what the results of the change are.
Well, I don't know about AI. AI might be able to do something for you, but definitely, I don't know if you've seen in Google Analytics where it has that little thing and then it goes all over the place, that graph that's really funky that tells you entry point, exit point, and flow.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh my gracious, that's probably the coolest graph I've ever seen in my life. It is. So it shows where entry point, where people enter, because people can enter, you think, through the front page, but you have QR codes throughout the entire site,
Right.
probably, and you have links throughout so they could come in through any of these different areas. And so your marketing is going to have coming in from different areas. Then once they hit a page, they show here's how many people hit, and then it can show where they're going from here to here to here to here, and then they're exiting this. And so your entry and exit pages, it goes there. And it goes there. And so yes, it will do that. It'll show you how many people are going into here. I don't know about the past, that I'm not sure about, but yeah. And so it'll show you if they exit here. Yeah. So it can show you how many people. It can show you how many people are going to be this. How many people go in through here, and then you should be able. I don't know about this. I would imagine you can do Google Analytics on this too. And then, anybody know what Luke's thinking right now?
Why he's not in there?
Yeah, because here it says Kenny. So Luke's like, why is it Kenny's? Why is it not mine? How do I get mine? And how do you get, if you have multiple salespeople, how do you go ahead and do that? Um, Good. All right. So a lot of lessons here, a lot of lessons. So Nora, this is what I'm trying to get you and Anita and Adam to do for your specific websites is to go ahead and study this and see what Kenny saw. So good work, Kenny. Anything else, Kenny, you got?
No.
Okay, good. So on the communication, I asked Adam, I said, so what's Kenny want to do on this? And I don't know, he said something. I said, so he wants a whole new website? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So somehow the communication between you and Adam broke down. And so on those things, most people just skip over those things, but it's like, well, that can happen. That can happen with $500,000 bid. And so, in the appointment, so Adam, he took ownership of it and he said, hey, so this is the thing I love about the EVAs is if you're working with three EVAs, in my experience with them, uh, I'm going to take personal ownership, and the three of them are going to take personal ownership. We all take personal ownership. I've had EVAs where it's 90% my issue. At least this has happened multiple times where it's 90 or 99% my issue. I've had it with Gendran and Elaine too, but especially Elise. There's been multiple times with her where it's just my issue and she takes ownership, tries to. Whoever takes the most ownership, whoever takes the most ownership is going to learn the most. So you want to learn, take more ownership. Take ownership in a crazy way. Luke, what you got?
So yesterday or recently I discovered I had a client commit and then uncommit.
Yep,
So I kind of discovered, well, he asked me if I already ordered materials and I hadn't.
yep,
And then he backed out.
yep,
What I'm thinking of doing for the future is like as soon as I close the sale, when I go to schedule them, like, hey, I ordered your materials. This is the day they're coming out. This is the day we scheduled you, just so they can't back out on me.
yep. Well, they still could, but it's less likely. Yes, sir.
Any thoughts,
You get a deposit.
tips?
At what point do you get a deposit from them?
Well, some people I don't. That's what I should just everyone. But usually it's as soon as they close, then I tell them, hey, we do 50% down. I'll invoice that 50%, and then you can either pay on the first day they show up, or you can send a check in the mail.
But do you see how if you order materials to deliver and if they then you're really putting yourself, your company into a vulnerable position if you don't get the check right away?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, that's really clear. All you got to do is think into the future and say, I'm going to order this. And if they get an option to go ahead and pay when they show up, that's probably what they're going to do.
Hmm.
And so you just tell people this is the way we do things. This is the way we do things. And so seeing the future is not really that hard. It's not. The driver has a unique ability to do that versus the other three because the other three get distracted. The amiable doesn't want to get rejected and somebody says no. The expressive, they just, I don't know, they just scattery. I don't know. And the analytic says, well, I had a negative situation in the past that happened, so I don't want to do it again. So the driver doesn't have those things as much. And so you just say, this is how we do it. Now there's some flexibility. Number of Nora's clients, they go ahead and say, do we pay the whole thing? Do we pay can we stretch it out? We say yes. And, that's impacted us. So they haven't paid. They keep stretching it out. And so would have they paid everything up front? Maybe. We don't know. Or maybe we would have lost the sale. It's the Chinese farmer. Horse left bad, maybe. Horse came back 3, that's good, maybe. Son broke leg, that's bad, maybe. Having the ability to go ahead and see that what we think is good, maybe, might not be good. What we think is bad, maybe, might not be bad. Questions?
Nope, that makes sense.
Anything else you got?
So talked with Bricio yesterday, and that's one of our team members, and thinking of going to an event with him. Um, Do you have any thoughts on taking team members to events? What I was kind of thinking is the company would pay half of his ticket, he would pay the other half. Somebody told me that you don't want to pay everything for them because then,
And you have general rules and then exceptions. And so, if people are, you know, um, understanding ourself and our self-awareness and our motives and stuff like that. And so, uh, you're not being sneaky, are you? So the pause would tend to lend me to believe, oh, he maybe is being sneaky on this. So when you're pausing, be careful, because the expressive will tend to respond really fast, but they cannot be being honest. But if you respond slow, people will think you often aren't honest, which could be like the analytic tends to be very thoughtful and slow responding, but people will mistake the slow response for not being confident and you're trying to be sneaky. The expressive can be really sneaky, but they're fast at it, and so you don't catch it with them. That's fascinating, Mark. Interesting. So are you being sneaky with this, Luke?
I don't think so.
What type of event is it?
It's um uh, uh Thomas Blackwell is the guy's name. It's
So is it
uh,
work related? Is it professional development?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So um so yeah, if you get somebody to pay half, then they got skin in the game. So Ralph from Australia, he says if people pay, they pay attention. The more they pay, the more they pay attention. And so um but know your motives. Know that your motives are complex. You're not all good, you're not all bad. It's not all for somebody else. It's not all for yourself. We have motives that are complex. If we don't understand the motives, when people question our motives, we get defensive. When we get defensive, it's revealing that, yeah, there's not as much purity. This actually is really cool. Like, I don't know how Tom Kuhn saw this first time he looked at it, the internalization model. And he said, can you walk me through it? I don't know if any of you guys saw that some of the lines are red and some are not. He noticed that. He says, what are those? And I explained, he said, of course, you thought the lines. So here is you're unclear, you gain clarity by asking questions, being awakened, asking questions that helps you to listen, to understand your why, connect it back into your life vision. That helps us to see new insights, purification of intention. We're not as nice, we're not as kind, we're not as smart as we think we are. We have to go through that purification before we go ahead and have radically different thinking. So this is the challenge that I as a Baptist have, is it was ingrained in me that I'm right and that I'm righteous and I'm all kinds smart because I'm Baptist. It's just ingrained within you. I'm right. You're just right. Well, what if you're not? No, I just am. Like, it's deeply embedded into me to think that I'm right. Baptists are not the only ones who
I
think
was
that.
just gonna say that sounds like another organ or a group of people that I know of.
Probably every group of people, when you think of Bonhoeffer's theory of stupidity, where he says people in groups. So people tend to group together in like-minded things and they think, hey, we're really smart. Other people are not. Any group of people, probably that's the tendency. The more in the group, the more that you have. That's going to be the thinking. And then you guys have a team member that you're looking at developing, pouring in a huge amount of time and money. and risk. So you want to put things in writing, and you want to go ahead and you want to protect the individual as much as you, maybe the individual more. So, Kenny is looking at going in a different direction. Nora's looking at going in a different direction. They're not really proactive on that. I mean, they're proactive on going in the different direction because that's what they want to do. But they're not really proactive on it takes a lot of work to say, well, you have to replace yourself. You have to replace yourself before you leave. You can't leave people hanging. Like, there's a lot of time and energy invested into you. And so will they naturally keep up on that? Probably not. Because they don't want to. Because, like, what happens if they have to go ahead? What happens if you have your dream, your passion, this opportunity of a lifetime, or you're going to go ahead and leave somebody hanging? What are you going to do? By and large, people are going to leave people hanging. They just will. That's how people are. It's just their character. And so what they don't realize is they're hurting themselves far more than they're hurting the people they're leaving hanging. But they don't know it, because down deep they do. At the deep core of who they do, they know they are. And they think, well, I can just apologize. It's like, no, you really can't. You really can't. The Baptists, they teach, well, there's grace and mercy. And it's like, well, you might have lost the chance. You think it was great, the opportunity. So the amount of work that you have to do to build in the character is insane, because there's a high probability there's going to be an opportunity, and the people around them are not going to want to hold them back. So the people around them, good intentions, will say, yeah, it works. It works. And they'll move on their merry way. What they don't realize is, they'll probably never realize in their life that, that they got hurt deeply, but they won't even know it. So yesterday, Anita and I were working on the ratchet principle. Somebody made me think, I thought Kenny was working on that. No, he's pretty busy. And so he's got a lot of other stuff going on. And so it's stupid. I don't know why it's not working, but so you're right here at the top of a dimension, and then you make a jump and you grow. Ooh, it's awesome. This is supposed to then, so you have ratchet, you lock it because you're on an uphill curve. And if you don't ratchet it in, what's going to happen is it's going to go ahead and it's going to slip down. But it's not going to actually have this. It's going to actually fall right in there, and you're going to get stuck. You're going to get stuck. Or you might go ahead and slide down and go down further. I don't know. So now we have to go ahead and say, okay, why, what does it take to ratchet it? So we did on the podcast yesterday. We didn't record it. It was a backstage past working session. We spent 30 minutes on this. I might spend 10 hours on this stupid principle. Figuring it out. Like, what's the pieces? What's the dynamics? How does it all work? All of those type of things. Now, Anita, because she worked on it, because she's the one that brought it up, which is really fascinating. So she's making substantial progress, but she can see where she's slipping. And she loved the graphic. This is cool. This helps me to see. I'm like, right? So you don't notice that you missed it. You don't notice it. You go ahead and go on. You actually feel better because you're actually going down the hill rather than going up the hill. It's hard work. It's hard work. you got to push up here and then move the ratchet up and then push up here. This is easy. This feels good. Ooh. So Kenny's the first one. So it's okay, but it's not. I mean, it's okay. So how do you go ahead? And that's where your life vision, how big is your life vision? The bigger your life vision is. And so Kenny's life vision is important to him. Like, how much of this is just dopamine that he wants? I don't know. It's not my vision. It's his. He gets to decide. Nora, how much of the dopamine? I told Nora many months ago, the flying is far more about than the flying. And saving somebody's life. It's something, there's something that's far greater than the thrill of flying. Like, far greater. And so there's something far greater than a car chase. There's something far greater than whatever it is. And a lot of it's in the day-to-day. Anybody else have anything else? We good? Fulfilled? Questions?
Is there something else on the podcast yesterday I should be picking up?
Oh, that was that was a really good podcast. So
He's an interesting guy.
he's a very interesting guy. And Luke was right that I think that he has a lot of potential for a client for Nora, for Action Vision. And so you find interesting people, you want to do a podcast. It's reflex, interesting person, boom, podcast. And that has so much potential, for Kenny and Luke too. And the podcast, because it accelerates it. It accelerates it. So yeah, there's a whole bunch. Probably you get that podcast out to Kenny and Nora, and then you bring it on here. And then did you see what he did with Ben?
Yeah. Yep.
So he's a sales guy. So he could be a guest on here. So he pursued Ben in sales. It was fascinating. It was really fascinating. You come talk to me, Ben. I'll talk to you about sales. I'll get you into sale. I'll get you selling. Like, it was really cute, really cool. So yeah, there was so much. So have the three of you watch it and then come back tomorrow, whenever, on the podcast and say, what do you see? So you see those pictures where you have a picture here and then another picture here, and there's 10 things that are different between the two pictures. That helps your brain. You do those type of exercises and you start to see different things. In law enforcement, I'm guessing that's pretty big training. Like when a police officer, I sat down with a police officer, we went out to lunch or breakfast, and when we walked in the restaurant, I was ahead of the guy, and I let him sit in the other seat, and I sat there. He says, "Do you know why I sat here?" I said, "I do, actually." It's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah," because he wants to watch the door. That's what police officers, military and police officers, they want to watch the door. Since he had the gun, I'm like, "Yeah, let him watch the door." Like, it's fine. Then it was funny. He said to me, I don't know, we're talking 5 minutes in. He says, "Yeah, I don't know if you knew this, but within the first 30 seconds, I'd figured out 29 ways to kill you." I'm like, didn't know that. Like, okay, good to know. Then I shared it on a podcast with him on. He says, "You can't share that." I'm like, "Why not?" He said, "Somebody could use that in a lawsuit against me." Didn't think of that. Copy that. Make sure that I remember that. Like, okay. So the point is, there's so much in life that we're not seeing. There's so much in life we're not seeing. That's being like a 3-year-old child. Like, life is just so exciting. I love my grandkids. It's like, it's the first time they've ever seen this thing. And they see things that grandpa doesn't see. So always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. You guys are awesome. Bye bye.